Hi again, YouTube. Yeah, I helped Doug move another lawnmower tractor that he's getting rid of. So, um, around the house, so it didn't hit the house. So, didn't take long, and I'm back. Now I'm gonna talk about my first video you should be seeing pretty soon, or have seen. It's the smear campaign and handling the grief. What I have learned from these type of people that will do anything to you at any time is they don't have any limits to who they will use and what they will do or say to attack you or your children. Now it's everybody that you are involved with in their minds. And I have found even from a distance this type of craft and arts that they use to destroy people. And I'm talking, these are pederasts. These are people with dark intentions in every aspect and corner of their life. And it's so dark, you don't even realize it right away because it's not something the normal person would think. You could even think, okay, I had bad things happen to me in my childhood, but um, so you don't really um, you don't realize or think that it could happen to your children, even if it happened to you. You don't see that that could actually be a thing that it would happen again in another generation. But some of these families, some of these people, it's a part of how they control the world like that. So, just realizing that there is that type of sickness that we're battling against. Um, just a second here. Oops. So anyway, excuse me there. But yeah, it's a hard thing to cope with. I mean, anytime you have anybody um hurting you and it doesn't make sense, or groups of people, and it's like, why? Well, because you're bucking the system. You're doing things differently. If they say, like, if you're in a relationship or you have a spouse and a family and that's all you ever wanted in your life, well, another woman that doesn't live like that and would want, say, like freedoms with your husband or something, she's going to be ready to do and say anything it takes to validate her way of life, including disturbing your life or the life of your children. She will help in that smear campaign or the flying monkeys. It could be relatives too. Relatives will come against you. They may not even realize what they're doing, but they're being played. And I mean, if they're people are playing them, well, they've already picked what they think about you or I already. So nothing we could say or do is really going to stop what they're doing. Or, like I say, it could be an entire group of people um, that say, like, if they lack moral values and integrity and that type of thing, they're going to group together against you or I in that respect. And they're in agreement. So, I mean, um, nothing you really say, you can't say or do anything. But, like, okay, for instance, when we're talking back about Dr. Allman and that smear campaign against him, um, There may be a time if he were to come against me that I would not see him as a likable person. And I would tell you that if anything changes for any reason, medically, if I hear or see something that isn't scientific and it's so off, I'm not talking about his dark sense of humor that people want to extrapolate on to make themselves feel better. Because 'cause I'll get way dark and people might be lost on, like, "Where did Barb go? I thought she had God in her heart." Well, it didn't go away, but because of the things I've been through, I can go way dark and I'm not connected with it. It is a joke. And for other people that have been through that trauma, they'd rather laugh about it too, you know? Who's going to sit there and laugh about having your face all busted up? Well, such is life, right? If you can't laugh, you're just going to keep crying through your whole life and just have the poor me's for the rest of your life. I'm in a position in my life where I don't have my own kids in my life because of the dark cabal. I still have to have a life. I have to not be depressed. I have grandchildren to be concerned about. I can't go into deep, dark depression and forget that there's the rest of the world and people that depend on me, at least to be stable for them. So when, as people, they go through hard times in their life, they'll have somebody strong and stable behind them that can relate to their hardships and not crumble. And with grief, and it is very painful when you have people that do shady things in your life, and it's just unbelievable. You're almost speechless to that point. Um, you you can't be overcome with grief so bad that you forget that you're a human being that needs to laugh and love and you deserve good things in your life. Even if you've gone through it with parents and spouses and even your kids, there comes a point where you have to think about just you. Because if you're not strong, nobody will be, you know. And that's where I stand. It's like no matter what these monsters throw at me, they're not going to break me. I'm not going to bend, you know? So I just wanted to touch on that a little bit because I've had times where I I did go to the doctor. I talked to a psychiatrist. She started crying. She was of no help. And my doctor wanted to put me on drugs. It's like there's no pill for depression. It's something we have to work out, balance our own emotions. And sometimes even talking to another human being isn't going to help if they can't relate, you know? People think, well, like over on Lady Babylon, because there's a lot of people that have been abused by the church that they just flipped one day and they're going in an entirely different direction because of that. And a lot of people might be. Um, that's not what I see there. I'm not out to join every group that they're having discussions in. Um, I'm there for the medical connection and the understanding of what's actually going on in this world chemically. And that's why if you look in another thing about Dr. Alman, he's studied microbiology, he's got degrees, and also has written several books, one of them called The Chemical Muse. That it's fascinating. I have not read the book, but I've watched all his information. I'm not into. I had for a while other people that were reading it or whatever, and there's going to come a day where I probably will read it or maybe not. I don't need to because I'm fully aware of what the book's about because I have that knowledge within myself, so I don't need to hear it from somebody else. If you get my meaning, it'd be like if you already know algebra, you don't have to be taught by somebody else that also knows algebra, you know, that type of. So, yeah, and I'm just saying it like it is. I don't care who thinks what, but I know. I know what's up with the chemistry of our bodies and how important every little thing we even think can do or change our physical being, you know? Grief's a big one. Like, say, if you were in a long term relationship, it even could be with a friend. If you had like a falling out or whatever with people, it can get to the point where it's such a grief that you're mourning them. You know, they're still alive, but the grief is so heavy, it's like you lost somebody forever, you know. So it's very painful. It, like I say, could be parents, spouses, kids. If you've been through it several times after a while, you have to pick yourself up and not let it get to you. You do have to find avenues and different ways to alleviate that pain, you know, for real. Because if you hold it all in, it's like a pressure cooker. It's either going to take it out on your physical self, even to the point of having like Bell's palsy, like a slight stroke or whatever. There's different things that can contribute to our hearts and our minds and how our body works. And how do you take care of that? Well, force yourself to smile. I'm not saying that you have to sit on and watch like comedies and try and look at some clowns doing stupid stuff and pretend you're happy, you know, or watch somebody falling down the stairs and think that's funny or something, you know, like America's Funniest Videos that are not funny at all. That's total conditioning, you know. I'm talking about finding happy moments in your life. If it's only like one thing, get up and look at the sun coming up and make that your one thing. Or if you can see the moon at night, make that your one thing. Or your cup of coffee. If that's the littlest smile you can get out of the day, just make it something. Make a pattern. Cheers. That you're gonna have a happy spot in every single one of your days. And I guarantee, just make that plan and it will help. It'll help alleviate the grief. And the more you practice that, the better you will feel. Just, you know, because it is a real thing that your physical being can be destroyed by your very own thoughts or other people wishing them on you can be a part of it also. Because witchcraft is real, you know. I heard somebody speaking about incubuses. There's also the succubus. The thing is, how that happens is by lusting after what doesn't belong to you, and then that beauty that you sought tries to take your life in your sleep. That's a real spiritual thing. These are demons that work for God. So yeah, it's real. Careful what you're looking at there, people, in your lives. Looking is not free. They got this thing in society now where they think, well, look but not touch. If you're looking like that, you're already touching, you know? So, called self-control. And if you don't have it, yeah, it's a crime. But there's a lot of people that'll tell you that it's not. Sure, we live in somewhat of a democracy, or the republic. Yeah, neither. It's fascism. It's borderline communism, no doubt. A dictatorship by people that want to own everything but don't want you to have any of it. That's pretty dark. What we're battling out here is way dark. I mean, trying to get the true scriptures out for people is never going to take God out of your heart. You just have to know the tricks that have been played on all of us and how to work around them so we can write healthier material for our youngsters in this world and teach them healthier ways to make them help them survive than all the confusion that's been going on, you know. Yeah. So I don't know if you've been, well, I think probably everybody listening has had enough grief in your life, even under normal circumstances, but things aren't normal anymore. And drastic times call for drastic measures. And that's why I recognize over on Lady Babylon just what the good doctor is doing. It's the times we live in. It's called a fishing trip, you know. I'm also on a fishing trip. I'm on a fishing trip so bad. Just a minute. I'm making a video, but that's okay. So my fishing trip even involves having to deny people that I'm very close used wanted to be very close to, but recognize signs in them that went against what I know is righteous and good, you know. So I know that people with demonic natures have the ability to learn just like I do. Whether or not they can gather that for themselves, this is the times we live in, you know, where children do turn against parents and parents against their own kids and that type of thing in our world because there is a division of two different types of people. And you can tell the ones that are working for the dark force. Even like I was talking about that alley woman that's spurned by Dr. Allman because she wasn't thinking right. Um, Now she's employing Christians to go up against him. You know, why would she do that if she was a part of that group for 2 years? I saw it out there a long time ago, and eh, I didn't really look into it till one day I was kind of bored and I went over there. It's like, wow, it's a little different than what I thought. because people don't know the scriptures and they don't even know what that channel's about. And the ones that are over there acting like little devils, I couldn't think that they were more stupid, but it is enlightening to see who will fall and who won't. And the pump might be coming on. I did tell him I was making a video, but I don't know if he heard me. It either way, if it comes on, I'll just wait a minute. But yeah, it's really interesting to see who gets played, who's trying to play people, and who's playing along, and like me, who doesn't play at all, you know, within a group of people, you know. So, yeah. But I know this woman, it wasn't her questions about scriptures or anything, because I, like I said yesterday, can ask anything. I've written some really poignant questions that got addressed. He didn't address them in the comments. He said it for everybody to hear. Answered me and my concerns. Now all I got to do is think something. Gee, I hope you make a video about this. And there it'll be, or something that I didn't even kind of remember, or I did, and I understood the science behind it, you know. So really nothing that comes up scientific wise is going to be a surprise to me, you know. But these people don't really even understand the depth of biology and scriptures and what's going on with all that. But it is kind of exciting to watch, you know, for anything else. What an entertaining channel, you know. Talk about charisma. Way to go, you know. I get the biggest kick out of it when he finds somebody that had changed um, scriptures, and you get them, even if you got to pull them out of their deathbed, pull them out of the grave. Then he takes his riding crop and he'll beat their butts. Sometimes pretty hard, like with Paul. He'll whack the shit out of Paul, and I'm like, yes, give him more. That type of feeling. I just love it, because it's not that Paul said it, it's that people think Paul said that women weren't supposed to preach. That's not what the words say, but they want to say it is. That's okay. Then somebody, like, I was going to write last night, and tell them that I am an ordained minister, and I thought, nah, that's okay, because I want certain people to come against me and my knowledge of those scriptures that I read in different languages and entire dictionaries, not just one, but many. So I could get the words from around the world and the true meanings with the code out of the blue book from the Masons that I started deciphering when I was a little kid. I got in trouble. My life was in danger. So this goes way back and way deep. I'm not about to stop now, no matter what they do to me, and believe me, they're doing a lot. So, but to know somebody else actually knows the true word, and people will say that it's not true because, and I heard this woman, Allie, disputing these Greek words because she could come up with a couple areas where they were used differently. But then what about the 12 other areas where it's used exactly as that medical term, and that's how it was applied within that common era of how people were speaking, how they would use a certain word, and knowing how it had been changed, or the fact that around the time that the King James Bible was written, um, the Hebrew language added and took away vowels on words to be able to coin terms. I can't make that clear enough. I've got a video on it. I read you in Wikipedia and other areas proving that this language had been changed like 700 years ago in order to coin terms for our current scriptures. And it doesn't seem to sink in. They're coining terms. You fucking idiots. How's that for coining a term? Whew. You know? Let me put something new in the lexicon. Dimwits. Oh, no, that's already in there, isn't it? So, yeah, when you coin a term that wasn't in existence in the scriptures, that makes a big difference. Like calling somebody a whore when she was a little girl that got raped. That makes a great big difference in the language, doesn't it? Take two separate stories for the same poor little girl and end up calling her a whore. I had somebody in my life, I kept telling this stupid bastard, you don't know what you're talking about. And every time, and that's my bloodline, and every time you say that, I want to say, fucking, something like that. Excuse me, people. But just the stupidity of it. Or that somebody that is female wouldn't know more about the scriptures than why was Mary's Jesus's favorite disciple because of her knowledge. Uh, and the disciples didn't like that and they were jealous about that. Something seemed a little weird there with these passive hearted Christians. Yeah. Vengeful motherfuckers. Yeah, I'm a Satanist one day, but tomorrow I'm going to go in a group of Christians and start a smear campaign against a medical doctor with chemical knowledge. Because why? Because I'm a spurned little bitch? And I saw her ugly husband helping her. What are you fucking dark force people trying to do? You don't have that medical knowledge or the scriptural knowledge, and you're out there pretending you do. That's dirty. That's entirely dirty. When people actually will destroy another human being's hard work in their life for their own gains. That's nasty. That's about as nasty as it gets. Right down to calling somebody demon possessed. No, you little fucking freak. You're the one who's possessed because you couldn't get your way in your dreams. Yeah, whatever. And her husband's bitter because she was lusting after somebody else. That's some funny shit right there. Who's possessed? That's hilarious. I had it happen to me. I know what it feels like. Somebody get turned on and then they treat me bad because of what they did. It's like, wow, how's that work for you? you know? Yeah. Anyway, so I know the feeling in a big way. I know exactly what's going on and I'm going to help expose it. It's going to stop. And this doctor is going to be able to continue with his research and his they're tearing apart the medical text of Galen and trying to find the old antidotes and natural remedies to things that were written about in ancient times. That's a pretty important endeavor, you know. So, a super big deal. So, stay happy, my friends. We're out there for each other, the good ones. We know who we are. Don't let anything get you down. Um, yeah, don't let them beat you down. Even if there's groups of them, it takes a group to come against one of the real ones. So just remember that next time somebody's giving you grief or trying to hurt you or slay you in any way, they're already below you, way below. And it takes a group of them to even come up one of you against one of you. So I love you all. I appreciate you being here. Peace from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good night or day wherever you're at.